At a certain point, though, I was done learning and growing. Or at least I needed a break. But right now, in this moment, I can truly say I feel like I'm at another turning point, right in the doorway of a transition into a new chapter that doesn't feel so much like struggle. You're listening to The Creative Impostor, episode number 33. Welcome to The Creative Impostor. I'm Andrea Klunder, and I'm recording this episode on Easter Sunday. Whether you're religious or not, Easter represents new beginnings, transformation, overcoming obstacles, fresh starts, and in a way, redemption. Today's episode is about all of those things. It has been carefully placed between my interview in episode 32 with Jennifer Gardner, host of the new podcast Rome Howell, which I helped launch in 2016, and my forthcoming episode number 34 with intuitive counselor and self-discovery coach Charlotte Alea, with whom I have been newly exploring tarot and oracle cards as a tool to support my meditation practice and connect more deeply with my intuition. In fact, I've used both my experience working with Jennifer as my guinea pig, or as we like to call it, my guinea pod, for my new Podcast Envy launch program, and my intuitive insights working with Charlotte to create my business and marketing plan around this offering. So this episode is really a bridge between my practical world of podcasting and the spiritual energetic world of intuition and meditation. So hopefully by listening about my journey, you'll get some insight about how you can blend practical and intuitive as well. So today I pulled 3 tarot cards and 1 oracle card during my meditation session to see what the day's energy would contain. I knew I was planning to spend the day writing and dreaming up content for the Podcast Envy program, and as usual, the cards were spot on. I'll tell you what came up, of course, but I'm going to leave you in a little bit of suspense because first, I need to tell you that today's episode is being supported by 2 wonderful colleagues I want you to know about, who have definitely been helping me on my professional creative journey over the last few months, and who just may be able to support you on taking your next creative leap. In episode 26, I interviewed Isabel Rizzo of Singularity Storytelling, and we talked about how to craft your unique story from your past experiences in order to create a personal brand that can help inspire other people. And that is the core of what Isabel does with her clients in the Singularity Circle, one of whom is me, and several of whom are going to be featured on this show in the coming episodes. The Singularity Circle is a paid group mastermind for creative visionaries to support us in stepping into leadership and greater visibility in our communities and industries. It's about clarifying your story, aligning your work around your values and your vision for your life, and creating strategic partnerships and alliances. This work has been so valuable for me, and right now, Isabel has a few new spaces opening in the circle, available until mid-May 2017 or until they're filled. And as a bonus for our community, when you join, you will get her Reinvent Your Money Story course for free. That's a $195 value, by the way. Plus, when you join, message me and we'll have a free 20-minute consultation about how to get the most out of your Mastermind Circle experience. You can learn more about Isabel's Singularity Circle at thecreativeimpostor.com/SC. And when you apply, be sure to tell her you heard about it from me. Isabel also has an incredible free Facebook community called the Singularity Storyteller Incubator, where you can get a glimpse into her approach because she is always on Facebook Live in there. Of course, to make it easy for you, all the links will be in the show notes for this episode at thecreativeimpostor.com/033. The second creative colleague and visionary I want you to meet is Charlotte Alea, whom I have already mentioned and who will be featured in episode 34. Charlotte's approach to using tarot and oracle cards, as well as meditation and dream work to communicate with and learn to trust your intuition, has been instrumental in helping me stay focused and confident on this creative path, which otherwise has a tendency to make me feel like an imposter. Right now, Charlotte is offering our community an exclusive package and opportunity to connect with her. This package includes her daily tarot self-study course, your very own classic tarot deck shipped to you in the mail, and a 30-minute private online session with Charlotte. All of this for just $99. This is a $140 value and a limited time offer, so don't wait. You can get exclusive access to Charlotte's generous offer at thecreativeimpostor.com/daily tarot and in the show notes for this episode, as well as a link to her private Facebook group, The Sacred Sojourner Space. I truly believe that connecting with Isabel and Charlotte will be a win-win-win for all of us, so do it. And now I'm going to tell you about the intuitive cards that came up for me today on Easter. And first, I need to catch you up on how I got to here. I launched my first business in 2008. Infuse Yoga Spa was my vision for an urban oasis of holistic health, well-being, and community in the middle of the concrete jungle of Chicago. I wrote a business plan, quit my day job of 8 years in arts administration, and took the leap with confidence, energy, a little bit of savings, and a generous loan from my parents and 2 uncles. 5 years later, in 2013, I locked the door to the beautiful vintage storefront for the last time. Dropped the keys through the mail slot, drove the zip car packed with my last few personal items halfway to my new apartment, and pulled over underneath the L train tracks to sob uncontrollably, saying goodbye at last to my dream. What followed was an intense period of mourning and probably the first time I have ever truly experienced depression. I was bankrupt, not eating well, at a loss for what to do next, and in fact, completely uninspired to do much of anything, especially teach yoga. Most days, I just wanted to stay under the covers and hide. I had learned so much from running that business, and there were a lot of good things that happened and relationships that came from it, but at that moment in time, it was hard to see beyond the failure. One thing I was doing, though, was listening to podcasts. I think it was a form of escapism that somehow felt more productive and less dismal than watching endless hours of Netflix. Podcasts like Elsie's Yoga Class and Tranquility du Jour with Kimberly Wilson helped me meditate on days I really didn't feel like meditating, and to imagine the lifestyle I had wanted to create for myself and had somehow missed the mark on with my yoga business. In fact, Tranquility du Jour is the first podcast I ever listened to back before I even knew what a podcast was. Long before I closed, at the very first signs that my business was in a little bit of trouble, a friend and colleague recommended I check out Kimberly's website because there was something about her multi-passionate approach to entrepreneurship that reminded my friend of me. See, Kimberly is not just a podcaster. She's a yoga teacher and studio owner in the DC area. She's a writer, a fashion designer, a counselor, and she leads these incredible retreats all around the world. I used to listen to her podcast directly on her website until I learned about the whole iTunes thing, and eventually I purchased her Conscious Business e-course along with a 60-minute private phone coaching. Kimberly gave me a lot of ideas for my yoga studio and beyond, one of which was to consider starting my own podcast so that I could expand my business model outside of the confines of the brick and mortar yoga studio in Chicago and start building a global audience and potential client base. And actually, my meditation teacher at the time, Elisa Commerce, had been giving me similar get out of the yoga studio box counsel for months. But at that time, I was so busy just trying to keep the box afloat. Launch a podcast? Great idea, but not right now. However, years later, having collapsed the box completely, feeling flat for a while, and now crawling out the other side, I came to a turning point where I realized that from here, really anything was possible. I got up the courage to start listening to entrepreneurial podcasts and financial podcasts, creativity podcasts, and how to podcast podcasts. I was able to shift my view just enough from no options to infinite options. And as I began to explore what my new business, my new entrepreneurial path might look like, I knew that podcasting would definitely be a part of it. It made perfect sense because I could blend my expertise in yoga, meditation, and mindfulness with what I'd learned from failure about business, with my experience as an actor and singer, with my undergraduate degree in broadcast production and mass communication, into an integrated package of who knows what, but it had to add up to something great. At the very least, the wheels were turning. So from the original decision to create a podcast to the eventual launch of The Creative Impostor in October of 2015, it took about a year of research, investigation, meditation, trial and error, planning, recording, and learning how to edit, as well as huge doses of self-doubt, comparison, procrastination, perfectionism. The years leading up to that launch and even up to now have also been interspersed with numerous part-time and contract jobs ranging from very lovely teaching experiences to minimum wage gigs I really didn't have to think too much about to completely draining odd jobs that in some cases I never even got paid for. And a whole lot of patience, encouragement, and support, sometimes emotional, sometimes financial, from friends, family, and my incredible partner. This whole journey over the past almost decade now since opening that first business in 2008 has been really hard. That is a terrible description, and I don't think there's even a better word to express what I've been through. It's been an almost constant struggle. And everyone was always saying, but at least you're growing and you must be learning so much, which is probably the kindest, worst, most well-meaning thing you can say to someone in the midst of all that existential and financial devastation. At a certain point, though, I was done learning and growing, or at least I needed a break. But right now, in this moment, I can truly say I feel like I'm at another turning point, right in the doorway of a transition into a new chapter that doesn't feel so much like struggle. Of course, I know there's always going to be challenge and risk and failure. And now the difference is I can finally add to that mix something that looks like success to me. Like all of this hard work is finally paying off in ways I could not have imagined in 2008 when I left the comfortable confines of my full-time administrative job behind. What does that success look like? Starting this summer, I'll be facilitating a brand new podcasting program for high schoolers at a Chicago public school. The Creative Impostor, of course, is growing, and I get such positive feedback from both old friends and new who are listening. My local community, the Chicago Women's Creative Collective, which I originally started back when I had the yoga studio, is evolving as we speak with inspiration and guidance from the genius Isabel Rizzo. I'm teaching a handful of yoga classes and working with clients in a way that feels like a gift rather than work. And I've just been accepted to a podcasting leadership mentoring program that I think is really going to raise the level of what's possible. Not to mention, I'm developing this brand new Podcast Envy launch program because I want to support other creative individuals in discovering the power of podcasting to help you step into leadership and elevate your platform for greater self-awareness, visibility, and service to your community. More on that in a minute, but first, let me tell you what the cards shared with me for today. You didn't think I forgot, did you? So first, I pulled a card from the Sacred Symbols Oracle deck. The card was Growth, depicted by Marcella Kroll as a blue spiral, representing, quote, a time of evolution, leaving behind outdated, antiquated relationships, beliefs, situations, or environments. The spiral is a sacred symbol that reminds us of our evolution and the path of life. Then I pulled 3 cards from the Fountain Tarot deck representing past, present, and future, particularly as relates to the new Podcast Envy program that I would be working on all day today. So for the past, representing from where I've come, was the High Priestess, which the creators of the deck call veiled wisdom. Quote, true wisdom comes from quiet, solitary reflection and trusting your own experience of life. The High Priestess is the space between extremes where ideas and thoughts are uncovered, emerge, and expand. Those who are brave enough to listen in her stillness will gain the strength and conviction they seek for future actions. In my own words, this feels a lot like all of the puzzle pieces of my experience that seemingly meant nothing on their own and only come together to illuminate the path as a result of this long period of meditation and self-reflection. The card representing this present moment right now was the Queen of Coins, and let me tell you, I am more than happy to see that card come up. The creators of the deck call her generous dedication. Quote, "The Queen of Coins is a self-confident, sensual woman surrounded by lush natural beauty. Over time, she has crafted and refined her environment, making it her own. Her message is, trust in your own abilities and embrace your unique way of being in this world." Meanings they suggest include generosity, financial security, compassion, resourcefulness, and more amazing things. And then the third card for the future was the Two of Cups, Cosmic Affinity. This card is all about synergy, the connection of two energies. Quote, "When two spirits of this magnitude unite, the universe feels personal, and there is no telling what magic might be created. Of course, this beautiful moment does require action. What you do with it is up to you." And that is exactly the gift I want to extend to anyone who is joining me on this creative journey. Whether as part of my online community in the Creative Impostor Facebook group, offline community with the Chicago Women's Creative Collective, or in creating magic together through your new podcast via the Podcast Envy launch program. This is a beautiful moment, and what you do with it is up to you. Podcast Envy is for you if you are dreaming of having your own show and would like a guide, coach, cheerleader, and yes, even intuitive tech support on your side. Our first group launch pod starts May 15th, 2017, and by the end of June, you will have everything you need to launch. Yes, we'll talk about microphones and software. Yes, we'll learn how to make money with podcasts, but ultimately, this program is for you because you want to connect, to reach out into that mysterious void and find actual humans who are ready to hear your message and engage with all of the gifts that you have to offer. It's about changing perspective, imagining what's possible, exploring the how along with the who, what, and why of your show, with a little bit of when and where sprinkled in for seasoning. Podcast Envy is about developing a craft, following your curiosity, building community, and doing all of this in a way that becomes more and more intuitive as you grow. To learn more about Podcast Envy and get my complimentary audio download and worksheet, 5 ways to expand your reach with podcasting, visit podcastenvy.com. It is linked, of course, in the show notes at thecreativeimpostor.com/033, along with our incredible special offers for our community from our sponsors Isabel Rizzo of Singularity Storytelling and Charlotte Alea of Dream Intuition. You have until mid-May to get in on this iteration of Isabel's Singularity Circle. This is where I connected with such visionary leaders as Charlotte, who's teaching me every day via Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and one-on-one conversations how to use tarot and oracle cards to have real dialogue with my intuition to keep myself aligned with my story and my vision. I sincerely hope you connect with both of these creative women. And before we say goodbye for now, I'd just like to mention a few other ways you can show your love for the Creative Impostor. All the podcasting advice out there in the world says only give your listeners one call to action at the end of your episode. Don't tell them to do too many things or they won't do anything. So I'm going to challenge you. Please prove that advice wrong. I'm going to tell you a few things you can do and then find one or more that sound good to you. Of course, I've already told you, check out Isabel Rizzo and Charlotte Alea and their communities. Also, if you are not already a member of audible.com and would like to get a free audiobook to keep and a 30-day trial subscription, visit thecreativeimpostor.com/freebook. Consider becoming a patron of The Creative Impostor by visiting my Patreon page and making a monthly contribution in any amount ranging from $1 on up. In exchange, you get stuff from me. Not bad, right? That's at thecreativeimpostor.com/support. You can join the Creative Impostor Facebook group where we will be having some awesome live chats over the next couple months with Isabel, Charlotte, and others on the themes of creative minimalism and woo-woo intuitive practices for your creative workflow. And finally, if you haven't already, please subscribe to this show so you never miss an episode, share it with a friend, and send me your own creative imposter story. Would you like to be featured on a future episode? I'd love to hear what you're creating, how that imposter voice shows up for you, and what you're doing about it. Message me at thecreativeimpostor.com/contact or in the Facebook group if you'd like to share and be on one of my upcoming episodes. This episode was mixed by Edwin Ruiz of Mondo Machine. Our theme music is by Jovia Armstrong. I thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a week filled with new beginnings, transformation, overcoming obstacles, fresh starts, and maybe even redemption.